Unfortunately, it has been a violent end to 2022 here in Indianapolis, with IMPD investigating 2 homicides plus a man shot by police. Now tonight, we're learning more about a man's death on Graceland Avenue, not far from Crown Hill Cemetery. Police were called there just before 5 o'clock this evening. They found a man with traumatic injuries that were not self-inflicted. He died on the scene, and now homicide detectives are asking anyone who lives in that area to check their doorbell or surveillance cameras. Anything suspicious between 3 o'clock and 4:45. They hope that helps lead to a suspect. Police say seeing 2 homicides within hours of each other today is hard on officers and on family members.
Today's been a difficult day for our community. It's difficult for our police officers, but can't stress how frustrating it is for the citizens seeing and interacting with people who come across the tragedy of seeing someone die or having a loved one pass away.
IMPD's chaplain responded to that neighborhood to comfort those who knew the man who was killed. Now, the second homicide today happened at an apartment complex on the northeast side. Someone shot and killed a man at Lake Castleton Apartments near 75th and Shaylin around 1:15. Officers are talking to witnesses and searching for a vehicle that might be involved here, but they have not shared any information about the car's description. Well, despite today's violence, homicides overall are actually down this year for Indy compared to 2021. This year, 226 homicides were reported in Indianapolis. That is down around 15% from last year when police investigated 271. IMPD says it wants the numbers, though, continue to fall.
1 homicide is too many. We've had 2 today. That's 2 too many. There's people in our community who are grieving and frustrated over this. So, the numbers are one thing, but the families and those impacted are really what's important.
The deadliest month this year was October with 31 homicides, but that is also down from last year when there were 34. Well, we just got some new information about an officer-involved shooting this morning when police shot a man in a car. These latest details coming in just about 10 minutes ago. IMPD says they got to a home along North Oxford Street after someone reported a strange car in their driveway. Officers found a man sleeping in the car and say he had a gun in his lap. Now, according to police, officers knocked on the window telling him to put up his hands. Officers say they also tried to open the vehicle's doors to remove the gun, but they were locked. Detectives say the person inside that car woke up and was moving around the car before any shots were fired. They say he looked at officers and moved his arm. It is not clear, though, if the gun was in his hand. There's no sign the man fired any gunshots. Police say they have now learned the man in the car was actually the homeowner's grandson. They say he was driving a rental car, so the grandparent didn't recognize it. Neighbors down the street tell us they heard several shots in quick succession. Now, the man in the car was taken to the hospital. Police say he was stable. The officers involved are all on administrative leave now during a use of force review. They did have body cameras recording during this incident. That footage has not yet been released. Well, starting in 2024, police officers statewide will have new rules about the use of force. A new law outlines a deadly force policy that every department in Indiana will have to follow. The Law Enforcement Training Board just passed that policy in November, and it is causing some controversy because it can't be enhanced. So that means some departments, like IMPD, will actually roll back restrictions that were put in place as a result of community input.
So that an officer in southern Indiana has the same legal responsibility as one in the northern part of the state, because it's just not fair that an officer could react one way in a county and get himself or herself indicted and do the same thing in a different county and would be considered a justifiable shooting.
Now, he says the approved deadly force policy is still being reviewed, so it could change before going into effect in January of 2024.